All right, there's the leader. So we've caught her.
Nice fish, Grant.
Oh, dude, that's so sick.
Just good.
Hey, how y'all doing? My name's Ethan. Today is December the 31st, and so I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. Today we're going to be tying a Congo Hair baitfish. It's the exact same thing as an EP baitfish. I've kind of got my own way of tying things. I like to tie it in the material process, the three-step process, but the fly itself takes about four. One to tie, one to trim, then the eyes. Then I do like to give them a final trim and then stick them in a bag to kind of preserve the life of the fly. But today we're going to be tying with Congo Hair, and the difference between Congo Hair and EP fiber is one, the price. Congo Hair is I think around $2.25 for a pack of fiber, and EP was around $8 the last time I checked. But so it could be higher than that, but it goes to show you how long it's been since I've used the EP fiber. But I love fishing these flies. One of the advantages is it has a silent entry. It's weightless in a sense, and does a really good job of shedding all of its water on the first back cast. And you can tie it in a ton of different color variations, to imitate anything you really want, whether it's a sardine, a pinfish, a mullet, you name it. And you can silhouette, create a black and purple is of course a great fly for tarpon fishing, especially dirty water, low light conditions. But I think it's extremely important when it comes to tying this fly to create a system so that you can maximize your output. One thing that helps me is a Velcro strip. I like to throw a piece of Velcro down, and so that way I can portion all of my material and lay it down in a system so that way I can just reach for another clump and try to tie as many as I can, and then I'll come back and trim them and then do the eyes. So yeah, with all that being said, let's get started. I've got a Mustad Alpha Point tarpon streamer hook here. Now I know that these are this is the new hook is forged. They were tin and originally actually forged, I don't know how many years ago. It's really been quite a while. But they put this tin hook out. It's a good hook. But I still have a bunch of them left over. It is a Mustad Alpha Point, but it just has a little different finish than the new ones. So I've got a Chartreuse 210 Denier thread here, flat wax nylon, and we're gonna just start it right at the midway point and just work on back to right where the hook bends. And so I've got some white here. We're gonna be tying this in an olive and white, and I like to use the weight of my bobbin to hold the material there. And then you can make a wrap, fold it back, doubling it, and then just creating a little thread base right there on top of it just to secure it. I've got some flash here. This is a UV ice dub from Hareline, and it's the UV pearl color, and just a little pinch goes a long way. Just fold it back, just get it in there. Doesn't have to be pretty. And I've got some reds in here for a throat. It's not necessary, but I think it really adds to the fly. Do the same thing here. And I've tied a few. I just kind of have a red clump sitting there, ready to rock. But I like to take and trim it just past the point there. Let's keep our whites facing this way. Reach for another piece of white, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball. What I'm really looking for is on this long side. I really want it about halfway up this last clump, really. And when I double that, kind of just eyeball it, cut it, reach around here and use the weight of the bobbin again. Make a wrap to secure it. We'll pinch a flash, fold it back, tie it down. We're going to put a clump of olive right on top of that. And when I look at the length of this, you want to make sure that it comes all the way back to that first clump of white we tied in there. Make a wrap, a little pinch of flash. And the flash isn't necessary either. You know, it's kind of something I'm messing around with. It sounds silly. Well, for a long time, I just believed that because 99% of the time we're sight fishing, we put the fly in front of the fish, what would be the point in adding flash to the fly? But Tail Magazine put out an article that I always just find intriguing, talking about tarpon eyes specifically, and it really kind of shed some light on, as the fish ages, their eyes adapt to accept more UV light because they're just in an environment where UV light is just a lot more present. And so yeah, I've got flies tied with flash, flies without flash, and so we're going to use it today for the fly. And with this next clump of white, I'm just going to throw some flash in there as I tie it in. Leaving enough room just in front of this clump for a weed guard. Then for a weed guard, we're going to use a 16-pound mason. I'm just going to take it and double it and kink it. Throw it over the eye of the hook. Make a wrap in front and then do a crosshatch. Do a couple wraps behind, a couple in front. I'm going to pull it down so there's a little nub, and it does kind of create a spot for you to crosshatch. I'll just make sure it's secure, and I'm going to build a little base right here behind it to kind of create a transition between the material and the weed guard. That's it. And now we're going to throw a couple half hitches. And that's it for the first step of the fly. Oops. Just trim my weed guard for one of them. We'll just trim it right there. How about that? And so after that part, we're going to throw some solar res on there, just kind of seal up the thread. It happens. We didn't need that double post weed guard on there anyways. And after we get the solar res on there, I'm going to stare deep into the light. Just kidding. Wham! Now I take my brush, got a comb here. Comb it out, just kind of fan comb it. I always am very careful about making sure that the green does not fold around to the other side. For whatever reason, it can happen, and then you can chop it off and kind of hurt your feelings a little bit. And then I'm just going to kind of create an arrowhead shape, you know, starting and going slow. You know, you can at first I recommend going slow. As you do this more and more, you get used to it. But you can always take more off. After you've chopped it off, you can't put it back on there. So, and then following this, I do like to give it a final trim. So the first one's just kind of rough. I've got a few of them trimmed up here already. Now we're going to stick this one back in the vise. I've got some yellow paper here and some 5-minute epoxy. And you can use whatever glue you find necessary. I've always liked 5-minute epoxy. But I can generally get about 3 flies done with one batch of epoxy. And then, you know, a toothpick or a really heavy piece of mono, like 200 pound of work. I've got a Q-tip here. And when it comes to picking out your eyes, you just really want to be careful not to use an eye that's going to take up the gap of the hook, really. When you start using an eye that's too big, you will miss fish. If not, just never catch them because there's no gap. And then after I get my eyes on there, I'll pull it off of here and just look at the fly straight on. I'll make any adjustments I feel necessary and stick it right there on my bobbin holder. And because we've got a little batch of epoxy here, let's go ahead and use it up. And if anybody has any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thanks for watching the video. I hope everybody has a happy new year. And I'll see y'all out there. Have a great day.